Well, we had kind of a slow news day yesterday, but that didn't leave me with any lack of material. I can tell you that right off the bat, because Eric Swalwell gets ripped for releasing the cringiest ad out there about what he thinks the biggest issue is facing our next upcoming election. And hint, hint, it's abortion and the fact that you might get arrested for having an abortion. So we'll talk about that. We will rip apart the ad and we'll go over some of the other criticisms that have gone with that. In other news, a failed Pennsylvania congressional candidate lit up Twitter yesterday by talking about how sex is a basic human right that must be provided by the government. Well, she walked that back and said that no, it must not be provided by the government, but she still tried doubling and tripling down on this, not thinking about the human element to any of this. So we'll go over what she had to say. And by the way, her account is not locked down yet. I do have everything archived in case she does that mid-show, but we'll be going over that, talking about that, and what this means for the people who are trying to come back out and, well, win the election no matter what. So we'll talk about that. We'll go over some of that. Haiti is in the news because we're apparently going to war on that theater as well, as the U.S. and Mexico and the UN all try to come in and step in amid the gang violence in Haiti. So we'll go over some of that, where this goes, and what happens with that. And Joy Behar is deeply, deeply saddened by a new New York Times poll that says that people care more about the economy than abortion. It is going to be all this and more. Welcome into midterm season. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Yeah, apparently Canada is sending people over to Haiti too, and that's, I don't know what exactly we hope to accomplish off of that one, because, well, I mean, the Canadian soldiers will bump into the guys over in Haiti and like, oh, hey, didn't see you there, hey, could I bum a smoke off of you? But that's enough making fun of our neighbors to the north. We actually do like our neighbors to the north, not their government, obviously, but we do like our neighbors to the north, and being in Wisconsin, we do have to keep some good relations with them because, you know, they're right there. Although, unlike my friends in Minnesota, who only have the border there, we actually have a gigantic body of water that protect us over here in Wisconsin. But we've got a lot to go over. I did research before we got started just to see what this crazy lady was and where she was, why she's blue checked, and where she stood and everything. And by the way, she got trounced in the primaries, so I think a lot of this is just trying to stay relevant. But I mean, that's going to be the brunt of the show. There was like no news yesterday. The Haiti thing obviously came in here, and the Swalwell thing, but this is the big one. And I do like when we have slow news days like this, when I can go into actual societal stuff here and, you know, talk about some of the culture war. I know I don't want to leave that entirely to my friend Stephen Ignoramus, because he does tend to take it a step in the very far direction, but, you know, most of the time we go with news and what's affecting people. So we'll be talking finance, we'll be talking polls. As promised, I have the polls up here today, but we're going to get started here. Before we do, make sure you guys go check out great programming, such as the aforementioned Daily Ignoramus. Go check out The Breakdown with Bergenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, The Porch Boys. Go over on Twitch and check out Mr. Behavior. Go onto your favorite audio platform and find the No Gimmicks podcast. And On all the platforms, you can also find PJ Patriot, great friend of the show. Head on over to Twitter and check out @TweetsByBrit. And Katie, what is KTZed's handle even now? KTZ is not here, I think it is. Go check out all that great programming as well, because these are people who are here to bring you news and culture by the common man for the common man. For so long, we spent so much time trying to bring or get our news from people who wear suits that cost more than our houses, and, well, these people don't have to make the same decisions that we do. So go check out all the people who have, in the past, have to made some of these same decisions that you do, because I think we're in a better position to know what actually affects the common man than Anderson Cooper, whose house cost whose suit, his house cost way more than that, whose suit cost $465,000. So let's get into our news, let's check in with the finance, and let's get started. All right, looking in at the Dow to start with. The Dow spent its day up yesterday, bringing itself up to 532.80. It did spike up a little bit, but faltered throughout the day. It looks like it's holding steady right now. It does, for whatever reason, looks like Netflix is actually doing well right now. Again, I have no idea how, because, well, let's face it, they don't have crap on there anymore. A couple of their original series are still passable, but you know, all the cool stuff, all the nostalgic stuff that we all went to Netflix for, all moved over, honestly, pretty much to Paramount Plus. Some of it went to Disney, some of it went to Paramount Plus. So, I mean, unless you're a really big fan of Netflix originals or stand-up comedy, they do stand-up comedy actually quite well. There's not a lot left over there, but we'll continue to follow that and see what happens with that. Looking in at the Bitcoin, Bitcoin took a tumble throughout the day today. It spiked up just a little teeny bit at the top of the day, and then crashed down and has continued. It's had some bounces throughout the day, but for the most part it's coming back down. It's flirting with the 18,000 line once again, but it's stalled out right now at 19,173.40. Coming out to the 5-day and seeing what it did throughout the day yesterday, and it did look like we've had mostly a falter throughout the day yesterday, including one major spike with a big bounce coming back out of it. So that is what's happening with your Bitcoin. If you are an enthusiast of Bitcoin, do keep in mind it's on sale right now, but this is not official financial advice. Always check with your financial advisor to see what is best for you. Looking at gas on the Madison area is steady. On the Isthmus, we have 360. Outside the Isthmus, we have 370s and a 360 up on the far north side over by Lake Mendota. 350 all the way out to the far east and 350 out to the far west. So the high price is $3.80, it looks like. The $4 are gone, thankfully. Thankfully down here they never got to that point either, but that's what we're seeing around there. So we'll see some gimmicks probably, and we'll probably see some honking to make sure the gas stays low, so Tony Evers can say, "Hey, vote for me, I kept your gas low." But I hope a lot of people see through that. Let's see what IBD has to say for the morning. From Investors Business Daily, Dow futures fall as yields jump. Netflix soars. Elon Musk may be extra bullish on Tesla earnings call. From Ed Carson, Dow futures turned lower Wednesday along with the S&P and the Nasdaq, despite strong Netflix subscriber growth and other upbeat earnings reports. What are people going to Netflix for unless you already had it? Again, I think Paramount Plus would probably be the big leader right now. I'm surprised I haven't seen them show up on investors.com, because they got all the cool nostalgia stuff. They don't have a lot of their own original programming, mostly whatever's on CBS, but they got all the cool nostalgia stuff. If you want to go watch Trek, that's your go-to right there. Let's see. Futures jumped overnight, but reversed as Treasury yields jumped to new highs. Meanwhile, Tesla earnings loom tonight. The market rally attempt added to gains Tuesday, but closed well off highs in a volatile session. Reports of Apple iPhone production didn't help. Apple stock briefly reversed lower, but managed to close slightly higher. While the market rally is still underway, it hasn't confirmed anything yet. Investors should pay close attention and remain cautious. Netflix subscriber growth was much stronger than expected in Q3, with the streaming TV giant also bullish on Q4 customers. Earnings also topped. Netflix stock surge, signaling a breakout. Disney and Roku also rose overnight. Intuitive Surgical beat Q3 EPS and revenue forecasts. Intuitive leapt overnight. Intuitive shares are near lows, but results for the maker of robotic surgical systems could be a good sign for other medical gear companies. So, are we actually getting the Autodock from Fallout 3? Or Fallout New... Well, I guess they were in 3 too, weren't they? No, they weren't in 3. That's right. They were in New Vegas, though. Are we getting the Autodock from Fallout New Vegas? United Airlines delivered strong Quarter 3 and Quarter 4 guidance following bullish outlook from Delta last week. United stock leapt in extended trade, with Delta adding to regular session gains. ASML, and that is not ASMR, this is not Amaranth's channel, reported better than expected third quarter earnings and a strong backlog early Wednesday. The Dutch chip equipment giant said it's not affected by U.S. bans on chip exports to China. Lam Research follows Wednesday night. ASML popped before the open, with Lam Research also rising. ASML and Lam Research are just above their lowest level since 2020. Meanwhile, Procter & Gamble and J.B. Hunt were also other notable positive earnings reports. Tesla is on tap Wednesday night. The EV giant should deliver strong earnings growth, but investors will want reassurances about the future. Meanwhile, there was new evidence that Elon's Twitter takeover could be imminent. Twitter stock is not far from $54.20 a share buyout price. Watch the investors actually fire that over and then lose money on the buyout. Watch that happen. That would be hilarious. On the futures, Dow futures fell 0.3 versus fair value, with Procter & Gamble and Disney offering a small lift. S&P sank 0.5% and Nasdaq lost 0.4%. Netflix, Intuitive Surgical, and United Airlines are S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 components. Futures reversed lower from solid gains overnight, with Nasdaq futures up more than 1.5 at 1 point overnight. The 10-year yield jumped 10 points to 4.1. The yield hit a 14-year high of 4.08 on Friday. UK inflation moved back to a 40-year high of 10.1 in September, pushing yields higher. Crude oil rose 1%. Natural gas continues to slide. Shockingly, I'm very surprised by that. Down more than 1%. The U.S. may ramp up strategic petroleum reserve sales over the winter. That's right, I was going to put that on the stack for today. According to late Tuesday reports, the government will pledge to buy back crude reserves at or below $67 to $72 a barrel. Yeah, the problem with that is you won't do any production inside the U.S. So where are you going to find oil for $67 to $72 a barrel? It's $94 a barrel right now, Joe. Are you just going to let it sit empty until somebody comes back in and drops it below 67 to 72? Is that the plan, Joe? Stay out of the piggy bank. Beijing Pinko pox cases hit a 4-month high, raising fears of serious restrictions or lockdowns in the capital and elsewhere. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. All right, so that's what we see coming out of Investors Business Daily. We've got a couple more on the economy here, just talking a little bit about what's actually on people's minds right now. CNN, and we'll talk about this with the Swalwell ad in just a moment. Biden trains his focus on abortion and gas prices as GOP sees momentum. From Maeve Reston. Biden will attempt to address Americans' concerns about gas prices Wednesday, a reflection of the Democrat Party's imperative to connect with voters' rising anxiety about inflation, the specter of a looming recession, and havoc that the stock market is wreaking on their retirement accounts. Democrats looking to hold on to their control of power in Washington don't have much time to get the message right. With just 3 weeks before the November election, there are new signs of high voter interest. Early voting numbers suggest the turnout in some parts of the country could be on pace to match 2018, a year that had exceptionally high participation for a recent midterm election. It's still too early to tell which party is benefiting most from higher voting engagement, although polling suggests Republicans have an edge in terms of voter enthusiasm, as economic concerns are the dominant issue in voters' lives. This has been an election propelled by opposing messages. Republicans are driving hard on inflation and crime, while Democrats are talking about abortion and in a defensive posture, starring in their own ads with police officers. Threats to American democracy, top of mind to many voters when Biden took over from Trump, remain a worry, but a few rank it as their biggest concern. According to New York Times Siena College poll, even as many of Trump's election-denying candidates vie for offices that would give them control over future elections. The messaging challenge facing the president and the Democrat candidates is on full display this week as Biden toggles between events focused on abortion and gas prices. But that's just it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the fact that, hey, you might have to have a baby cut out of you and it might not be the best thing for you, because there's still the messaging out there that this was supposed to be a states' right thing. And this is, you're still going to be able to go to Colorado, California, Illinois, New York, and get this barbaric procedure done. And they keep trying to say, national ban, national ban. Chuck Grassley in the Senate looked at Lindsey Graham and said, no, when Lindsey Graham came out and put his proposal forward. This is not on the front of people's minds. What's on the front of people's minds is the same thing that I talk about every time I'm here. It's the fact that the last time I went to the grocery store, didn't even buy meat. It was $35 just for a couple filler items to keep up. A little bit of coffee in the individual packs, because I can't afford to buy in the big pack anymore because it's $7, $8, $9, $10 a pack. A little bit of flour and a little bit of sugar. No regular purchases. $35 I used to think was outrageous just for me. While I lived in this studio, which has only been 4 years, at a time when 20 was the average. That's what's on the front of people's minds right now. And the fact that people, a lot of people, especially, we just, we fixed the student loan crisis. We're going to get free for that, but I can't afford to go buy a house at 7, 8, 9, 10% interest. That's what's on the front of people's minds. And the fact that no matter where they live, they have to put gas in their car. And it's the same thing from thegrio.com, which I've never heard of before today, but they were endorsed by RCP, so I will take them. Black America must vote. Black voters name inflation, economic issues as biggest concern ahead of midterm elections in the Grio/KFF survey from April Ryan. As the midterm elections approach in less than 30 days, the new Grio/KFF survey found that the economy is the top tier issue for black voters as inflation numbers hit a 40-year high of 8.2 in September. The poll, a partnership between the Grio and KFF, a nonprofit, focused on research and analysis of health and other national issues, interviewed 1,000 registered voters who identify as black or African American from August 24th to September 5th. Among some of their findings, in the nationwide survey, 73% of black voters name inflation and other economic issues as the biggest concern for them and their families when asked to state in their own words. Dude, Democrats, I'm going to tell you right now, if you lose the black vote, you're done as a party. And if the 73% of people who participated in these 2,000, was it 1,000 or 2,000? 1,000. If 73% of these 1,000 people represent the black community at large, you're done. It might be time to go start looking in, autopsying your party, and figuring out how you get the progressive far leftoids out of it. (73% versus 9% for health concerns, 3% for crime and gun safety, and 2% for racial disparities. That used to be the leading poll. I'm sorry, the leading issue for this kind of poll marker. If you have lost the plot on that, then you very well might be done as a party. Among voters concerned about the economy, 32% mentioned concerns about the prices of goods such as food, the cost of living, and gas. Another 21% expressed concerns about poverty and personal financial hardships. Interest rates, the stock market, affordable housing, debt, wages, and healthcare costs were also among some of black voters' economic concerns. These findings come as President Biden recently told Jake Tapper on CNN that America could possibly see a very slight recession, but he doesn't anticipate it. Dude, we're already in one. However, experts are offering a different potential reality of an economic downturn. So, that is where we're at for that and Forbes. For the housing market recession, home builders warn collapse is unsustainable and prices could tumble another 20%. From Jonathan Ponciano. Home builder confidence plunged for a 10th straight month in October as rising interest rates continue to weaken housing demand, prompting economists to warn an unexpected rise in new home sales last month may be short-lived. And prices may be on the brink of collapse, the National Association of Home Builders reported on Tuesday. As a person who is concerned about the economy and people having to lose their houses because they don't have the equity in them, so they can't take the loan out against them, they have to sell it because they can't afford the house that they could afford back before inflation went 13.5% over 2 years. I think it's more than that at this point. I think it's like 17.5%. But regardless. And then they can't get crap out of their homes. Some of them won't be able to even cover the mortgage that they have on them. I don't want to see that because that's going to drive a lot of people into poverty and a lot of people into a situation where they might even have to lose their jobs and go live with mom and daddy and put like 7 generations in one home. But on the perspective of a person who's getting ready to go buy his first house, let those prices fall. I'm kind of in the middle here. Don't know which way I want this to go. Builder confidence in the market for new homes dropped 8 points to 38, just half the level of 6 months ago, and its lowest level since 2012, excluding the historic plunge at the start of the pandemic in 2020, according to the NAHB Wells Fargo Housing Market Index released on Tuesday. The NAHB called an ongoing collapse of confidence further evidence that interest rates, building material bottlenecks, and still elevated home prices continue to weaken the housing market, noting traffic of prospective buyers has also slumped to the lowest level in a decade, while the outlook for sales also worsened. In a statement, the association's chair, Jerry Conter, said skyrocketing mortgage rates have created an unhealthy and unsustainable situation, noting this year will likely mark the first since 2011 to see a decline in the number of housing starts or homes on which construction starts. So, that is where we sit on this right now. Houses losing value, they're not building more houses, which stagflationarily means that fewer house builders are working. That means that they can't afford to pay their bills and they buy less, which means the manufacturer makes less, and stagflationary cycle. And it's not good. So, that's what we have coming from the market side. As promised yesterday, we're going to look at a couple of polls here. So first we'll look at the latest polls and see what's coming up here. Oz versus Fetterman. Fetterman has got a +2. Mastriano versus Shapiro. Shapiro +11. So Pennsylvania looks like it's probably going to go blue-ish. And part of that does come, by the way, from the fact that, Mehmet Oz is an insanely weak candidate. If you can't come out and pull double digits ahead of somebody who literally had a stroke and is saying the craziest crap, you're an incredibly weak candidate. Trafalgar poll shows Mark Kelly up +1. Lake versus Hobbs. Lake is up +3. Walker versus Warnock is a tie, by the way, on the latest polls. Kemp versus Abrams. Kemp is +6. Which Walker himself is not really a strong candidate either. If in the same state, which are both statewide races, the governor and the senatorial race, if you were in a statistical tie as a Republican and your gubernatorial counterpart is up +6, you are a weak candidate. Kathy Hochul, look at that, is only up +4 in New York. Although Siena is +11. Let's look at a few of these here. Biden job approval is disapproved +14. So let's look at a few of these polls. Oz versus Fetterman. On the aggregate is Fetterman +3.2. Mostly done with likely voters. And they've just kind of been going, kind of matching each other too. I mean, Oz has gained ground. I will give him that. What else do we have on the aggregate? Lake versus Hobbs. That's going to be a big one. Because I think Kari Lake is going to run away with that one. We do have a Hobbs +1, by the way. But Lake plus 1.6 on the aggregate. Walker versus Warnock on the aggregate. Warnock +2.4. We had Walker ahead briefly, or in a statistical tie, but I actually don't know where this one's going to go. I do know this is a highly oversampled race. Kemp versus Abrams. 5.6. That one's not going anywhere. Kemp is going to handily win this one. Abrams is a historically weak candidate. They can put her on Trek and still can't get anything. I want to look at the Zeldin versus Hochul race and see where that one's been going. So Hochul is a 6.2 plus. Do we not get a graph with this one? Apparently not. But it's, I mean, some of the polls that go out there are as low as +2 and some are as high as +11. I do sometimes wonder, I mean, some of the historic ones have been as high as +24 back in August. I don't know where this is going to go. And of course, the Biden job approval. $43.3, probably his highest job approval rating that I've seen in quite a while on the aggregate. Of course, he's had higher ones on individual polls, CBS, Fox News. But that's the highest I've seen his approval in a long time on the aggregate. It has been, when was that? Gotta scroll down a little bit. December 18th, 2021 was the last time that Biden was this high in the approval rating. And his disapproval wasn't that far off either, so yeah, that's what we follow on the polls here. I think let's just get into the meat of things, shall we? Oh, one more financial one. Just a little funny one here. Apparently, and I didn't see this because I've already closed my PayPal. The PayPal link that you see in the chat is now dead. My PayPal is gone, and they deleted my data too. But Wall Street Silver tweets out, apparently PayPal is tired of losing customers, so they're now keeping them hostage, forcing you to call customer service instead of just doing it online. And yes, I have deleted PayPal. I have deleted Venmo. They're gone. Thank you for everybody who used those, though. Your account can't be closed. Please contact customer support to resolve outstanding issues with your account. Now, again, I don't know if this is the fact that maybe there was another bill outstanding or something, a pending payment or something. But given the mass exodus of people coming out of PayPal, it also wouldn't surprise me if maybe not necessarily they did it for malicious purposes to force you to call, but just their servers overloaded from trying to delete all the data all at once. Because I'm sure with the people who are leaving, like I did, they're going in there and they're clicking the extra box of please delete all my data. And then they'll give you the runaround on, oh, we can't delete all of your data. We can't delete it all. We have to keep some of it on our records for various laws, international and national laws. So, if you're looking to get out of PayPal, I suggest you do that in a hurry. Alright, let's talk Swalwell. So, Eric Swalwell put this cringe-filled ad out yesterday, and he got roundly mocked over it. But really, honestly, after going through yesterday, because we did have a slow news day yesterday, I noted that there seems to be something very, very degenerate in the water. So it's not just Eric. But let's watch this and see what it is that he wants you to focus on. This is not a parody either, by the way. It's been suggested that this was all parody. This is not a parody. This is actually something that Eric Swalwell put out because he thought it was going to win him points. Let's listen.
You're weird.
He is weird, but cute.
Gross.
Mary Anderson,
Yes.
I have a warrant for your arrest.
Arrest for what?
Penal Code 243 violation. Unlawful termination of a pregnancy.
You gotta be kidding me.
That is my personal business.
That's for the courts to decide, ma'am. Your
What?
medical records have been subpoenaed, and Dr. Landry's already in custody.
No, my God, you.
Okay, no police officer would say that because that's not a part of the arrest. Oh, your doctor's already in custody. That's commenting on a pending case.
You can't just.
You will have to submit to a physical examination.
What?
Also something that would never be said in the midst of an arrest.
It's by who?
No one's touching
Sir,
me.
get that man! Ma'am, turn around!
Oh my God.
Put your hands behind your back, now!
Why is this happening? Love you, honey bear.
We're just enforcing the law here.
Elections have consequences. Vote Democrat on November 8th. Stop Republicans from criminalizing abortion everywhere. Protect women's rights and freedom.
Please don't do this. Please.
Eric Swalwell, who is in the deepest of deep blue districts, is putting this out to scare people nationwide because his race is granted. If somebody comes up and challenges him, he just, bye-bye, peasant. Because he's in deep, deep blue San Francisco. But none of this is based in reality. And like I said, I mentioned this up at the top of the show. Like when Lindsey Graham came out. And he said, oh, sugar, I think that we should go out and have ourselves a little bitty abortion ban at 15 weeks all across the nation. After so many people in the Republican Party, in the government, and so many people on the ground have said, no, let's bring it back down to the states to decide. I mean, it's like you sitting back in a corner And I mean, the Democrat producer in front of the or behind the camera saying, "Come on, Lindsay, hold that abortion ban up a little bit higher. They can't quite see that here yet." The thing with the Supreme Court, and this, I struggled with this when this happened because I knew that this was going to be a key issue for the midterms, even though it really shouldn't be. There's no reason for abortion to be at the top level of anything, but I knew that as soon as the Supreme Court overturned this and turned it back over to the states, then this was going to be our momentum. We have to get out there because we have to make sure we can make our sacrifices to Moloch. But surprisingly, that wasn't the top issue, and people like Swalwell are trying to make it the top issue. Here's the reality. There are always going to be states. The Roe versus Wade thing kicked it back to the states. It didn't outlaw the practice outright. Everybody knows that at this point. Because of the 10th Amendment, the Interstate Commerce Clause, you can go to another state and do something that is illegal in your state, as long as it's legal in that state, without facing any repercussions in your home state. The crime is committed on the soil that you committed the crime. And I mentioned this yesterday when I said it's the same thing. If I want to go down to Illinois, I still have to deal with workplace if I pee dirty, or the DOT if I pee dirty because I have a CDL. But as far as criminal penal code, it's not legal in Wisconsin for possession. I can drive right down to Illinois tomorrow and smoke the fattest blunt you could see until my eyes are glowing red, sober up, drive back over to Wisconsin, eat a bunch of Twinkies and go to bed, and wake up and face no criminal repercussions in Wisconsin. Because recreational was legal on the soil that I smoked the fat-ass blunt. Excuse my language. If you feel the need to murder your offspring, and you go to Colorado to do it, from Idaho, there's nothing that Idaho can do about it because of the Interstate Commerce Clause. Most rational people have accepted this, but still have to go to the grocery store and see $50, $70, $100, $200, $300 for their groceries to go feed the kids they do have. Yes, none of this is based in reality. And he did get roundly mocked for this from the New York Post. Rep. Eric Swalwell ripped for a despicable ad showing women arrested for abortion from Victor Nava. Representative Eric Bang Bang with Fang Fang Swalwell was slammed on social media after releasing a shocking campaign commercial that portrays a woman being arrested in front of her family for having an abortion. The ad, which implored voters to support Democrats in next month's midterm election, shows police officers informing the woman, in front of her husband and 2 kids, that there is a warrant out for her arrest over an unlawful abortion. The situation quickly escalates and the cops draw their weapons on the family and handcuff the woman in front of her screaming children. MAGA Republicans want women arrested for having an abortion. This is what that looks like. Hashtag lock her up, Swalwell said in a tweet accompanying the video. No, I think they just mostly want the doctors arrested for it. In fact, I believe there are only 3 states that have repercussive penalties for the mother. Like Swalwell's tweet, the ad warns that elections have consequences and urges people to vote Democrat on Election Day to stop Republicans from criminalizing abortion everywhere. The message that Republicans want to lock up women who have abortions was not well received by conservatives on Twitter. Yeah, the only people that this is appealing to right now are the people that were already going to vote for you anyway. The only takeaway I get from this is Eric Swalwell has an incredibly insulting, despicable, hateful view of law enforcement, conservative talk show host Larry O'Connor said, adding that Eric Swalwell is a garbage human being. Yes, that is a fair assessment. I don't think there's a single Republican candidate running for office that has suggested arresting women for having abortions. Oh well, never let the truth get in the way of a good story, pointed out Ben Q, an editor at El American, a bilingual conservative media platform. Still waiting for Swalwell to be investigated over his relationship with Fang Fang. Bridget Gabriel, founder of the grassroots organization Act for America, said in a response to the video, referring to Swalwell's relationship with a suspected Chinese spy. Democrats have tried to make Supreme Court's June decision overturning Roe a central issue in the November 8th elections, but most of the public doesn't seem to be playing along. Swalwell is running for re-election in California's 14th congressional district, a safe Democratic seat. His opponent, Allison Hayden, lost to Swalwell in 2020 by a margin of more than 40 percentage points. So, yeah, he needs to be roundly mocked for that. That was cringe. That was terrible. The production value of this, too. Like I say, this looks more like a cold open for Saturday Night Live than an actual serious political advertisement. Alright. Let's talk about, I think, what's going to be the meat of the show. Failed congressional candidate Alexander Hunt raised eyebrows yesterday with this inane tweet thread. We're going to go through the entire thing and some of the response, because she doubled and even tripled down on this inane stupidity. Alexandra M. Hunt, October 17th, at Hunt for Change. So 2 days ago. A lot of people just found this yesterday. Young men aren't having sex. Nearly a third of men under 30 have not had sex. Paste. Kind of wish I could go back to 14 and tell myself to wait. And a higher percent do not have as much sex as they'd like. Not exactly surprising, but this kind of statistic is a sign of much deeper problems. She continues. Our society criminalizes sex and sweeps it under the rug. The consequences are straightforward. There's more violence since platforms like Craigslist were banned from advertising sex. Serious violent crimes against all women, not just sex workers, has increased by nearly a fifth. And men who do not have sex suffer. They're less likely to be part of the labor force and more likely to experience depression, nihilism, and other mental health issues. Is nihilism actually a mental health issue? The Me Too movement accomplished so much, and we have to take the next step. Normalizing, having healthy, positive, consensual sex, decriminalizing sex work, funding sex ed, and creating outreach programs and help young people develop healthy sexual habits. She continues. This is what caught a lot of people off guard, and I think what got this woman completely, roundly ass-blasted, although given the rest of the thread before this, I think that she might actually enjoy something like that. We should be moving towards the right to sex. Okay. How are you going to provide that? People should be able to have sex when they feel they want to. No. No. No, 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 no. That's wrong. And we need to develop services that meet people's needs without attaching the baggage of shame or criminalization. So let's talk about sex. We need to bring these discussions to the spotlight. Normalizing healthy, positive sex will have too many downstream benefits to list. We need to move past our history of shame. It's time to bring sex into the light. Lydia, the former producer for Tim the Tool, said, this is called a positive right. In my experience, no positive right is a good thing. Only negative rights are valid. Which Bitbutter comes back and pushes back, or confirms what Lydia had to say. Yeah, 2 ways you can guarantee a positive right are directly enslave people to provide it to others, or use threats to extort funds from peaceful people, then use those funds to pay for the services. Both seem to violate actual rights. Alright, let's talk about the right to sex. We keep hearing about things, you have the right to this, you have the right to that. There are very few positive rights enshrined in our Constitution. Most of them are negative rights. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, the freedom of the people to assemble peacefully, the freedom to practice a religion as they choose. But think of the wording of that. Congress shall make no law. A negative right. A constraint against the government. You already have the ability to do all these things. Congress cannot make a law that abridges your ability to do things. Think about the Second Amendment, the big one that's out there. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the preservation of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The government shall make no law, which they need to be reminded of that a lot lately. Shall not be infringed. No quarter. You shall not be required to quarter soldiers in your home at the time of peace. No government can compel you to self-incrimination. All of these things are negative rights. The government cannot make a law abridging your ability to do any of this. But we think about the most important rights from the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and as created equal, are endowed by their creator the rights, innumerable rights. I want to make sure I get that one right. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the people. Unalienable rights. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have the right to the pursuit of sex, if that will make you happy. And trust me, I can tell you that J. Edgar, from age 23 on to 30, pursued that right a lot. I wasn't guaranteed that I was going to get laid. But I had the right to pursue it, which I took more advantage of than I really should have. Looking back on this now. And you, yourself, the people that Alexandra you're speaking to, they have the right to pursue it. The problem that people are coming with is that when you say that people have a right to sex, you're telling them that they have the right to succeed. And you don't. It's the same thing with healthcare. You have the right to pursue healthcare if you think that healthcare will make you happy. You don't have the right to succeed. But you have the right to go out there and do everything you can to secure a good healthcare for you, your children, and your family. And I hope you succeed. But I can't guarantee that. You don't have the right to an abortion. If that's what you want to go back and do, you have the right to go back and pursue that. But there's no constitutional right to an abortion. You might not be successful. So before the show, and I ran a little bit late because I wanted to look into this and figure out what kind of person we're dealing with here. Who seems to think that I think she's actually is going along one of my crazy ideas. I just recently put out an idea and said, hey, let's gather up all the incels in the country and all the radfems in the country, and I'll put them all in Lambeau Field together. And stock all the food vendors. Don't man the food vendors because that might get bloody for the people who are vending the food, but stock all the food vendors with good, high-quality steaks, lobster, roses, and champagne. And just let the chips fall where they may. We might find a bunch of dead bodies, or we might find a bunch of people who are suddenly a lot less insufferable than they were when they went in there. Either one could happen. I think that her idea and the way she's going with this, and she's doubled and tripled down on this, is that if she can just go out and get these incels laid, they'll suddenly go back out and vote Democrat and progressive for the rest of their lives. I think is where she's going with this. I may be wrong. I don't want to put words in this woman's mouth. But we can look at her platform here and just see where she's coming from. 29. Not a bad looking girl. Out of her freaking mind. About Alexandra. Alexandra Hunt is a public health researcher, a girls soccer coach, and an advocate for social, racial, economic, and environmental justice, and an organizer. She is a daughter of 2 teachers and a sister to a twin brother. Alexandra's twin brother grew up with a learning disability. Seeing the systemic obstacles her brother faced inspired Alexandra to become an advocate and challenge barriers on the basis of race, gender, class, and ability. Yes, she challenged her brother's learning disability on the basis of gender and race. This lily-white suburban teacher's daughter. In 2022, Alexandra ran for Congress on a progressive platform because she believes our politicians should fight for systemic change, ensuring equal opportunity and justice for all. She's now continuing her advocacy and continuing to work with community groups and organizations to bring a more compassionate, just, and fair Philadelphia for all. You could join Team Alexandra if you really want to. Donate to the campaign, spread the word. This is classy. The sweatshirt that they put out says, elect hoes. Where did we go wrong as a country, by the way? I don't even remember crap like this from my young adulthood, when I might have actually been swayed by stupid crap like this. Where did we go wrong? But I also looked up her race as well from Ballotpedia. Alexandra Hunt, Democrat Party, ran for election to the U.S. House of Representatives in Pennsylvania's 3rd Congressional District. She lost in the primary in May 17, 2022. Hunt completed Ballotpedia's Candidate Connection Survey in 2021, which we could go back and check her survey answers. Bio. Hunt was born in Rochester, New York. She earned a bachelor's from University of Richmond in 2014, a graduate from Drexel University. Oh, so she's overly educated. And another graduate degree from Temple in 2020. Her professional experience includes working as a public health researcher. General election for this district has Dwight Evans over Christopher Hopner, a Democrat over the Socialist Workers Party. Does not look like there is a Republican in this race. And if you are in Pennsylvania 3, J. Edgar is what you need to write in on the Republican side. Write in. Yeah, go ahead. You have my permission. But the primary, that's what I wanted to look at here. Incumbent Dwight Evans defeated Alexandra Hunt and Michael Cogbill in the Democrat primary for U.S. House Pennsylvania District 3 on May 17, 2022, and it wasn't even close. Over 30,000 votes above Hunt. Well over 30,000 votes above. Not even a little bit. I don't know anything about the demographics of Pennsylvania 3. I know it's around Philadelphia, and that's about it. But I also noticed that 2 swarthier gentlemen were competing against one lily white suburban girl. Oddly enough, Ron Helton, that wouldn't be the craziest chick I've ever gone out with. Just judging from what I can see here. And this woman is nuts. But compared to what I've been with in the past, that she's like a 7 on the scale. Out of 10. She doubled down on this. Kurt Schlichter came back and quote tweeted this. Kurt Schlichter quote tweets, "No, losers shouldn't." And that's the point. That's the point of all of this. You know, when you go out and excessively go outside of your bounds to try to appeal to the incel vote, Kurt Schlichter comes back out and puts it right out there. No, losers shouldn't. Losers shouldn't be put in a position where they could possibly reproduce. Here's my advice before we go into this. If you're not doing it as much as you want to do it, become a better partner. Become a better provider. Become a more worthwhile person. Improve your life. Make a better financial situation. Make a better living space. I am not going to lie. Most of my success in my 20s came from the fact that most of the people who were around me were living at home with mommy and daddy. Most of the guys who I was competing with were living at home with mommy and daddy because the economy crashed. Yes, I was driving crappy vehicles that I was buying for $500 at a time, and yes, I had a series of bad jobs and a series of job losses. But again, most of the men in the area were living at home with mommy and daddy. Yes, they had a nicer car or a nicer truck. But that little 8x10 room in mommy and daddy's house, just with the paper thin walls, just wasn't enough to bring the women home. And she, if I remember correctly, doubled down on this and said, oh yes, there it is. A dangerous right-wing tactic, which Schlichter, as far as I know, is not a right-winger by any stretch of the imagination. A dangerous right-wing tactic is weaponizing incels against women, saying women are to blame for a lack of sex. Kinda are. But again, if you want to participate in this marketplace, you need to make yourself better. Yet the right wing repeatedly shames and criminalizes avenues to healthy, consensual, sometimes paid sex. Puritanical politics is the cockblock we should be fighting. And by the way, she's not done. Another thread that she went out with. A right to sex isn't forced sex. That's rape. And as a survivor, I'd never be advocating for that. It's telling where we are that consensual sex isn't assumed when talking about sex. Okay. What happens if you go to the brothel as the incel that you're clearly trying to appeal to here, and you think that your provider's place is in your kitchen, on the floor, chained to the stove? And they still don't want to do it with you. I mean, does the brothel come out and enforce like, okay, well, you still have to because they're paying us? She goes on and doubles down again. A right to bear arms are different supports in place to bear arms. A right to sex is different supports in place to have sex. Through decriminalizing sex work, funding sex education, and creating outreach programs for young people to develop healthy sexual habits. And it's not just for men. Women can want to have and enjoy sex too. friend of the show, Jessica Green, comes out and points out the fact that, and here's a good idea, you could own up to the terrible delivery of your idea. You know who did get in on this? The person who shouldn't have got in on this. And I quote tweeted this. I said, stop. Don't do this. Go tell your feelings to another young boy in your chat. DM him on Discord. I'm sure that you have plenty of 12-year-old boys that you haven't molested or abused yet, Vosh. Go talk to one of them and tell them how much this actually hurts you inside. But no, Bosch couldn't help himself. Bosch tweets out with a thread, "This is a serious sociological problem, and the response I've seen from many leftists has been disheartening. I'd like to talk about why." Dude, you should not be weighing in on this, Bosch. And I am not going to go through this whole thread. I don't think. I might. First of all, nothing that I'm about to say suggests an entitlement to sex or women's bodies. Obviously, no one should ever feel pressured to have sex with a man just because men as a group are more socially isolated. Everyone should feel free to choose their partners. Plus, I've got a range of young boys that I can choose from, says Vosh. That said, prolonged virginity can point to increased social alienation, an increase in which has been observed in both men and women through multiple trends. Men seem to be experiencing more alienation, though. This can be attributed to many things, primarily gendered socialization. Women often have an easier time forming friend groups, that men are taught to be more emotionally distant and individualistic. Speaking as a man who's had all sorts of friends, it's not hard to see a pattern of men, especially cisgender hetero men, being more closed off and less willing to express enthusiasm when hanging out or making new friends. I mean, it's practically a stereotype for dude bro friends to be so reserved with their feelings that they have to amass genuine emotional movements or sincere affection or appreciation towards other men behind a veil of irony because it would be weird and gay to be sincere. If these behavior patterns are causing mass social alienation, making it harder for men to form relationships, there's a real sociological problem. It's a gendered problem. Progressives should take it seriously. But I see a cavalcade of so-called progressives who seem to assume that the only possible explanation for this trend is that men are shit and that women are tired of them, that it's men's fault and they need to correct this problem on their own. How is that a progressive response? Well, they do need to correct this problem on their own. Again, as I said, if you're not doing it, make yourself a more desirable partner. If you're not doing it and you want to be doing it, make yourself a more desirable partner. Plain and simple. And Vosh, you should not be weighing in on this. And also, please do explain to me libertarian socialist, because I don't understand that for a second. Like, who holds the gun to the head of the people that don't want to participate in the society? You can't have libertarian socialism. It doesn't work. And that wasn't the only degenerated tweet that I found yesterday on this topic here. Matt Baldwin was also roundly panned yesterday in a lengthy thread going back and forth, starting all the way up with alleged comedian Michael Ian Black saying, "Guns aren't magic wands, they're tools. Instead of banning the tool, we need to ban the people. Wait, instead of blaming the tool, we need to raise the taxes to invest in people. Wait. Oh, I got it. We need to make laws to make it harder for just anyone to get the tool. Wait, no. Okay, how about we make people liable when their tool is misused? Hold on. No, here. We demand people pay a lot for insurance, like we do with other dangerous tools like cards. Crap, this is hard." He quote tweeting out that article, a tweet response to an article about a murder in the Twin Cities. Teen kills 2 in neighborhood, 3 more along Greenway. That's out of KSTP. So that's somewhat local to here. Somewhat. Like, what, Minneapolis, St. Paul is 4 hours, 5 hours away, I think. But going down in the thread, this big brain here, Matt Baldwin, says that wouldn't that be, by definition, also include law-abiding gun owners who one day decides to stop abiding by the law, which seems to be the case with most of these mass shooting events. Nothing to do with the fact that an 18-year-old with a crap job bought a $2,200 rifle out of the blue one day and just decided to go to the elementary school next to his high school and shoot a bunch of kids. Mysteriously finding $2,200 to go pay cash for a rifle. A rifle that I wouldn't mind having, by the way. But the reason that I pulled this one out and put this in with the degeneracy, Sinter, a ways down here, panning this guy, says he's the type that would suggest a woman dead in an alley strangled with her own pantyhose is morally superior to the rapist dead in the alley with a double tap to the brain. And this guy, this moron, he said a thing on the internet. Said most rapes don't end in murder, and 3/4 of rapes are committed by someone the victim knows, which brings us back to the question of, how many of your friends and acquaintances are you willing to kill? Well, if one of my friends and acquaintances is raping another friend and acquaintance, and I catch him in the act, that one. If it's after the fact, unfortunately, the damage is already done, and I'll probably let the criminal justice system do it. But if I catch him in the act, he's probably not long for this world. I tweeted back on this and said, I'm sure you're glad that your victims choose not to defend themselves. All right, and the last one on the no, I still have some more degeneracy after this before we go talk about Haiti. I promised this one yesterday because I found it while we were on air. Hold on, we're not ready for this yet. Clown World tweets out. Oh, I guess I don't have an introduction to this. Heather is Unsane says, I don't need the sound on to note that this person is mentally ill. Biological males have zero authority on tampons. Let's listen.
Day 75 of being a girl, and I've been carrying around tampons and pads for the past 2 months, but I've actually never opened one up, so let's do it! Woohoo! I thought the letters stood for small, medium, and large based on the size of your Barbie pouch, but after a Google I found out it's actually the level of your flow. So there's Day 75 of being a girl, and I've been carrying around...
Did he just say Barbie pouch? There are times that I wish I would pre-watch some of these things so I'm not shocked when I hear stupid crap like that. Rapture when? Giant meteor when? Let's go ahead and make it worse. From the Blaze. Oregon Pub advertises event with child drag performer Vanellope is here to show you what an 11-year-old drag queen can do. Dude, was there something in the water yesterday? Seriously, with all of this degeneracy? Old Nick's Pub in Eugene, Oregon is advertising an upcoming event where an 11-year-old drag queen will be among those performing. Are you excited for Drag Queen Storytime brunch this Sunday morning? Let's meet our performers. Vanellope is here to show you what an 11-year-old drag queen can do. With all the charm and sweetness of a bowl of sugary cereal, Vanellope is here to brighten up your morning with all her drag talent, a Facebook post reads. The event is being billed as open to people of all ages. According to a Facebook post, the event will be free for kids under the age of 11. Why? Join us for an all-new journey into the fantasy and story with local favorite drag queen, Maliena. She will enchant us with fairy tales new and old, with special guest queens and performances woven within. This is a new all-ages drag event that you won't want to miss. A post on the establishment's website reads. According to the Daily Mail, the child has performed at the establishment before. The outlet refers to the child as a girl. In September, the pub posted what appears to be a photo of the child reading a book. Move over, Maliena, because Vanellope may be our new favorite, the post declares. The pub is standing behind its move to allow the child to perform and is arguing that drag is not necessarily sexual in nature. Right, but you're doing it in a bar, first off, which I will confess, as a Wisconsinite from a small town, being in a bar at a young age is not actually something that is completely unfamiliar to me. But I didn't get up on a stage and perform at a bar at a young age either. There's the difference. Dear friends, our youngest drag queen is being targeted by a hate campaign on Twitter. Right now, we love and support Vanellope. Drag is an art form. It is not inherently sexual to act or dress in drag, and those sexualizing her are falling into a very typical societal trap of misogyny that views any female performers as sexual, the pub declared in a Facebook post. We think she's going to be a star on the big screen someday, so if you can come pack the house on Sunday and show her how loved and supported she is, we will force the darkness out once again with our light. Okay? And by the way, here's the thing that I actually think is happening right now. Think about how Republicans were viewed in the 90s, in the Bushite era, between the Bushes, and even back in the 80s. You've got the rich side of it. They keep trying to say rich Republicans. They keep trying to put this buck out here, but especially when it came out to be with the Clinton impeachment. They didn't focus on the perjury with the Clinton impeachment at all. They didn't think about the perjury. It wasn't a thing that was brought up. The thing that was focused on was, well, Republicans are impeaching our good and wonderful William Jefferson Clinton because he had the audacity to have a little bit of fun in the Oval Office. These stuffed shirt Republicans, they're so moralistic. They believe that once you are married, you are property, and you can never leave, and you can never touch a woman without being married, and he violated the bonds of his marriage, and all the moralistic crap. Both under MAGA, and also under different societal norms, which I don't agree with. More of the Republican Party has become the working class party, and sometimes they have been. You know, sometimes they're not married, and they're still living with a partner. Sometimes they are... Sometimes they're in situations, sometimes they've been divorced. Sometimes they're gay. So a lot of this sounds more to me like they're trying to build up a new moral panic so they can go back to the only line that they know. Those stuffed shirt Republicans can't understand people going out and having any sort of fun. I don't think this is sexual in nature. I think it's a dare. I think it's a dare to come out and say, well, come on and say your most bigoted thing out there. We'll go blast it on the internet. We'll call you the darkness once again. You moralistic stuffed shirt Republican. Because, I mean, I'm still bothered by the fact that this is a boy dressed up in a dress with a big pointy hat and everything off of this, but, I mean, as far as I know, this is everything covered. I might just blow everything out of my mind at this point and be wrong about this. I've not played this video yet. So this thing might come back out in a bustier and panties in just a second. Be warned, I have no idea what's going to happen when I hit this play button.
Hello everyone, it's me, Princess Melina, here at Old Nick's. And guess what? We're about to do Drag Queen Story Time. And it's actually super affordable. It's only $8 for adults, and anyone under 12 gets in for free. So come and join us. We have performances, stories, and all kinds of beautiful queens of all ages. So come down to Old Nick's.
Okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. With all the degeneracy out there, you never know when you hit that play button what's going to come. And again, I should probably be pre-screening some of these when we talk about these topics. But there you go. That's your daily dose of degeneracy. Let's talk about something that makes me want the Rapture even less. But still makes me want it, actually. From CBS News, Haiti's crisis continues as the world powers at the UN negotiate sanctions and the deployment of a multinational force. Why? Because what else are we going to go spend our military on? From Pamela Falk. The UN Security Council met in an urgent session on Monday to deal with the gang violence that has enveloped Haiti. The Caribbean nation has been dealing with what the UN called a catastrophic hunger, as access to water and gas have been cut off by Haitian gang leader Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier. I'm guessing he's not Sweet or Baby Ray. And a growing cholera outbreak continues. 2 resolutions are being proposed by the US and Mexico, one to enact an arms embargo that would impose financial costs to gang leaders. You mean there isn't already one? Oh no, gang leaders, we'll just go and sell you arms, and we'll let anybody else in the world come back in and sell you arms as well. You mean there isn't already one of these in place? And the second, to create a non-UN multinational force under the UN Charter's use of force provision. Colleagues, if there is ever a moment to come to the aid of Haitians in dire need, it is now, U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas Greenfield, told World Powers. According to the UN, a record 4.7 million people are currently facing acute hunger. The Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations and the World Food Program said that an unrelenting series of crises have trapped the vulnerable Haitians in a cycle of growing desperation, without access to food, fuel, markets, jobs, and public services, bringing the country to a standstill. The first resolution, Thomas Greenfield said, would impose financial sanctions on criminal actors that are inflicting so much suffering on the Haitian people. You mean we don't already have that? You mean it's just business as normal with gang leaders? The second would authorize a non-UN international security assistance mission to help improve the security situation and enable the flow of desperately needed humanitarian aid, she said. Thomas Greenfield said that Haiti is facing extreme violence and instability, adding that the country's leaders and the Haitian people are crying for help. Yeah, they've been dealing with that for quite a while. Yo. This is not new. I think Haiti has been a crap hole for my entire life. Monday's U.S.-Mexico approach is a departure from an earlier proposal. The earlier measure, obtained by CBS News, supported the immediate deployment of multinational rapid action force. Council members told CBS News that the first resolution may be considered this week, but the creation of a multinational force to support the police against gang violence would need more negotiating. Jean-Victor Genius, Haiti's foreign minister, called the UN to urgently consider the request from the government for a multinational force so as to help us face the crisis. Haiti today is dealing with major security, political, economic, and social challenges. The humanitarian crisis and the resurgence of cholera aggravate the situation further, Genius said, calling for political agreement to reestablish democratic institutions to organize general elections as soon as the security situation allows. Okay, here's my first question, and I know the answer to this already. It's because this is acceptable to the US, the government, the UN, and the mainstream media. And the other one is not, because evil Putin man put evil Orange Man into office. But how is this any different than what's happening in the Ukraine right now, and what China's threatening to do with Taiwan? In fact, Putin's allegation, and I have yet to see anything disprove or discount this, so until you bring me proof that this is not actually the case, Putin going into Ukraine was because a series of Russian nationals, or people who wanted to be a part of Russia, who wanted to secede from Ukraine, were being held hostage by their government, which is, I'm not going to say a criminal government, because this is a YouTube video, but has had some questionable practices in the past, to say the least. And Putin alleges that he went in there just to help. I go in to help people who are crying out for help. How is this different? Other than the fact, of course, that yes, this is acceptable to the mainstream media. And are we going to go on with another years-long proxy war? Decades-long proxy war? Putting people into Haiti to go back and help out, but not actually being in Haiti? And I mean, if you really want to protect the people of Haiti, annex the island. Do what you did to Puerto Rico. Make it a territory. Make it a territory, and then have the progressives come up and demand that it be made a U.S. state every 2 or 4 years. Because they want those extra 2 guaranteed Democrat senators. All nations of the 15-country council on Monday expressed alarm at the deteriorating crisis in Haiti. The UK's Deputy Ambassador, James Kariuki, told CBS News, yeah, that sounds like a good British name, doesn't it? Told CBS News that the security situation in Haiti is near breaking point. Gangs are holding the Haitian people hostage. But boots on the ground in Haiti is a troubling proposition for many nations. Oh, it's still going to happen. To be clear, we are keenly aware of the history of international intervention in Haiti, Thomas Greenfield stressed. And Russia expressed doubt to the Security Council about the current proposals. Russian Deputy Ambassador Dmitry Polyansky noted that the opposition groups call for not allowing foreign intervention and said the proposed sanctions were hastily crafted. Last week, thousands of Haitians demonstrated at Port-au-Prince to protect against calls for foreign assistance by its own government and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, which, by the way, if this does pop off, I think the next game that we play on Ed's World Gaming is going to be A Link to the Past. But if this pops off, we might go play Sid Meier's Pirates instead, so we can actually see on the map all the places that they're going to try to invade. Aren't you excited? As hunger has reached devastating levels and Haitians have taken to small boats to flee their home, The US and Canada sent armored vehicles and humanitarian supplies to Haiti. The aid, bought by the government of Haiti and flown on US military aircraft to Port-au-Prince, Haiti's capital, is intended to help the Haitian National Police counter gang violence and reestablish stability and security under the rule of law, Thomas Greenfield said. Translation: we just armed up the Haitian gang members, who are now going to go back and turn on their government and become the government of Haiti. So we can justify going in and starting a 20-year proxy war with Haiti. So, that's what we see coming out of that. Aren't you ready to go to another war? With Taiwan getting ready to pop off and Ukraine already popping off? A little bit of history into what's happened here. U.S.-Mexico call for Haiti security mission to confront gangs, from Brian Ellsworth over at Reuters. And while we know the situation now of what's going on with the UN, this will set the stage as to why this is happening. The US and Mexico said on Monday they will seek support from the UN for a security mission to restore order in Haiti amid a worsening humanitarian crisis, but did not identify who would lead the mission. Haiti is facing dire shortages of basic goods and paralysis of economic activity due to a blockade of a fuel terminal by gangs, which has halted transport and left many without food or clean drinking water amid an outbreak of cholera. So it's the blockade that's setting us into this situation. Which kind of sounds familiar to me. Doesn't that kind of sound like the start of The Phantom Menace? I couldn't think of the name of that movie. This kind of sounds like the same thing. A military blockade being debated in the Senate. Although that was a member world, so that was probably a little bit different. Some crime and punishment news for us. Pittsburgh pro-life activist could face 11 years in prison after 2020 abortion clinic blockade. From Maddie Aiken. A pro-life activist from Pittsburgh could face up to 11 years in prison after a federal grand jury in D.C. indicted him for blocking access to a D.C. abortion clinic. Herb Girati, 25, is charged with conspiracy against Rights and Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act offenses after he participated in an October 2020 pro-life block and lock rescue of the Washington Surgery Clinic. Girati is the 10th blockade participant to face federal charges related to the protest, which was live streamed on Facebook. In a release, the DOJ alleged that Girati and others forcefully entered the clinic and set about blockading the two clinic doors using their bodies, furniture, chains, and ropes. The 9 other defendants were indicted last March. Girati tweeted about the indictment on Monday. He called the protest nonviolent and said the Biden admin is using the DOJ as a weapon against political dissidents. That's probably true, but they're also empowered by the fact that Congress did pass a law to give them the power to go after political dissidents. If convicted, I'm facing up to 11 years, Girati wrote. That's obviously terrifying. However, 11 years is nothing compared to having your life snuffed out before you're even old enough to take your first steps or speak your first words. If convicted, Girati and other defendants could also face up to 3 years of supervised release and a fine of up to $260,000 according to the Justice Department. Girati, who attended the University of Pittsburgh, serves as an executive director of nonprofit human rights organization Rehumanize International. In a statement to the Tribune Review, Girati said he is pro-life atheist who embraces a consistent life ethic. For me, being pro-life isn't about imposing a religion. It's about defending the human rights of a marginalized group, the unborn, Girati wrote. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. We watched the video, I think it was Monday, of the FBI raid on the house with the kids screaming and watching, and the wife couldn't even get an answer out of them. They just stuffed him in the SUV and took him away. And yes, they are definitely doing this for political reasons. Joy Behar got back in the news. Speaking of polls, like we talked about earlier on in the show, Joy Behar deeply saddened by New York Times poll in the economy. I find that so depressing! From Carlos Garcia. The View co-host Joy Behar said it was sad and depressing that a new poll showed more Americans cared about the economy than they did about liberal causes. Behar's co-hosts were talking about whether political debates are useful on Tuesday when she interrupted to steer the conversation towards the results of the New York Times Siena College poll. Well, it's depressing that the New York Times released a poll today that says 71% of voters agree that democracy is under a threat, but only 7% of voters rank that threat to democracy as a major issue in this election cycle. I find that so depressing, I can't begin to tell you. That's why I don't like polls, joked Whoopi Goldberg. Well, you can debate the poll, but this is what people are saying. I understand. I mean, inflation has people. You can't put food on the table. It's very depressing. And you can't put gas in your car because, inflation and rents and everything else is piling up because of the various reasons. One of them is the pandemic, she added before blaming the Iraq War and correcting herself. Let's listen. Not to the whole thing. I won't put you through that.
Debates continued around the country last night, and more props were pulled out when Utah Senator Mike Lee faced challenger Evan McCollum. Take a look.
Senator Lee, you advised spurious so-called legal efforts to mislead tens of millions of Americans that the election had been stolen. And congratulations, you succeeded.
There were people who behaved very badly on that day. I was not one of them. I was one of the people trying to dismantle this situation. For you to suggest otherwise looks right in the face of truth and in the face of the Constitution. How dare you, sir?
Senator Lee has been doing this.
Trying to overturn the election results, but that exchange from last night, will it change anybody's vote? I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going. Brian Kemp was debating Stacey Abrams, and he said, I know Miss Abrams is upset and mad. Another angry black woman thing. Yeah. But it came after she pushed back on his insinuation that she didn't see the world of debate now.
Well, what's depressing is that the New York Times released a poll today that says that 71% of voters agree that democracy is under threat.
Yeah.
But only 7% of voters rank a threat to democracy as a major issue this election cycle.
Yeah.
I find that so depressing. I can't begin to tell you.
That's why I don't like polls.
Well,
it is depressing.
You can debate the poll, but this is what people are saying. I mean, I understand. Inflation has gotten people, if you can't put food on the table, it's very depressing. And if you can't put gas in your car, and inflation and rents and everything else is piling up because of various reasons. One of them is the pandemic. Another one is maybe the war in Iraq, in Ukraine. Yeah. But to think that the other party is going to be able to solve those problems is really ludicrous, because the Republican Party is happy to let corporations never pay another tax for the rest of their days. Yeah. They will cut Social Security. They're going to cut lunches for children. They are not going to help you. So why would you vote for them? And yet I see that it's very close, that people are not understanding what the stakes are. And I find it sad and depressing.
What I found depressing is because I was riveted to the debates. I just think they're so interesting, maybe because
By the way, they're not going to do any of those things. There is zero appetite for the cut of Social Security. I keep telling people that Rick Scott got roundly panned by his own party for even suggesting that. And yet they bring it out every chance that they can. This is the poll, by the way. Do you think the country, U.S., is on the right track or is headed in the wrong direction? Wrong direction, 64%. This year's elections for Congress were held today. Which party's candidate would you be more likely to vote for in your district? If you don't know, if you had to decide today, would you lean towards 49-45 Republican over Democrat? Do you approve or disapprove of the way Biden is handling his job as president? Net disapprove is 58-39. Strongly disapprove is 45. What do you think is the most important problem facing the country today? With 26% saying the economy. State of democracy is only 8%. And we've got the age breakdown, male, female, educational breakdown, racial breakdown. %3 say Trump and Republicans are the problem. Only 2% say Biden and the Democrats are the problem. No, it's the fact that the economy sucks. 18% say inflation or the cost of living. And the next one down is abortion, 5%. So a full 13 points between one issue to the next issue. And people wonder why Swalwell got panned for putting that cringy ad out. So, that's what we see for that. Let's, well, for those of you on social media, Kanye West to acquire the conservative social media platform Parler. From Brian Fung. Kanye West is acquiring Parler, the alternative social media platform favored by many conservatives. Parler's parent company announced the deal on Monday, saying West had made a groundbreaking move into the free speech media space and will never have to fear being removed from social media again. The acquisition comes after West, who has legally changed his name to Ye, because of course he did, had his account temporarily locked by Twitter this month over an anti-Semitic tweet. Exact terms of the Parler deal weren't disclosed, though Parler said it must still enter into a definitive agreement with West and expects to close in the fourth quarter. Parler's parent, Parliament Technologies, would remain involved in providing technical services and cloud support. Buying Parler could make West the latest celebrity owner of a social media platform after former President Trump's bid to win over conservatives with Truth Social and Tesla CEO Elon Musk's proposed acquisition of Twitter. It also highlights how a small group of wealthy men, some of whom were banned or suspended themselves for incendiary remarks, are looking to own social media platforms in an effort to bolster what they call free speech. In a world where conservative opinions are considered to be controversial, we have to make sure that we have the right to freely express ourselves, West said in a release by Twitter. As part of the announcement, Parler linked to West's account on the platform, which appeared to have launched simultaneously. As of early Monday, the account had roughly 500 followers. For Ye, the deal comes during a particular controversial period. West has made headlines in recent weeks for wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt in public and defending his use of the slogan, a phrase the ADL has linked to white supremacy groups, as funny to Fox News host Tucker Carlson. After the shirt incident, the apparel company Adidas this month said it was reviewing its partnership with West. In September, West also said he was abandoning a 2-year partnership with the clothing retailer Gap. I hate to tell you this, Ron, but if what you just said is accurate, that the polls are crap because conservatives don't answer the polls, that's even more damning for the Democrats right now. That makes it even worse for people like Behar, who are extremely disappointed. Let's see. Speaking on CNN Monday, Jonathan Greenblatt, the ADL CEO. Greenblatt, huh? Called Parler a haven of hate. Parler was founded in 2018 and saw rapid growth surrounding the 2020 election, billing itself as a loosely moderated free speech haven. The app became popular with conservative politicians and media figures, speaking at an estimated 2.9 million daily users. According to the market research firm Optopia, but since then, its fortunes have dimmed, with Parler's estimated daily user count slipping to just 40,000. Aptopia told CNN on Monday Twitter, by comparison, has more than 237 million daily active users. Well, see, the thing with that, and what CNN won't tell you, and one of the reasons that I do think that this is possibly going to be a problem for West, is the convenience factor. I, myself, predominantly use Twitter desktop. I don't use mobile predominantly. I do use it sometimes, but that's just it. If I do have a desire to do a mobile, or if I've got something to say and I don't happen to be around a computer, I can pull out my phone and tap a few clicks and I tweet it out. Or I can use my phone as a way to, use the camera function. I did that last night when I was tweeting back and forth with Right Girl Problems, saying that I was going to be on my soapbox today talking about that crazy chick from Philly. I can pull that back out, take the picture, post it to the reply, and then go back to using desktop. But what do we not have with Parler? What happened with Parler when it was introduced to the Apple Store and the Google Play Store? Nope, banned. You don't follow our TOS. You don't moderate your speech enough. So you can have an app on our App Store. And what I'm going to say is that a lot of the boomers that would use this don't have a computer anymore. It's either out there collecting dust, or it's so old that it won't start up, or it's so jammed up with porn or family photos or stuff like that it won't start up. So they just pick up their smartphone and do things. Well, they can go to the desktop app. They can even make a desktop shortcut for the web page, which it does have web page functionality. But they can't just pull the app out and go. And I think that is going to be a major hurdle for West, and part of the reason why I think Elon wanted to go with Twitter instead of making his own, because I'm pretty positive that any social media that Elon would have made would have been instantly banned by app stores, Google Play, and Apple. So, while it's a good idea, while I think that that'll work well, and while I think it will change the idea of free speech, Kanye does have a very, very, very severe uphill battle to go with going to Parler. I hope he can do something with it. I really do. But I know he's got an uphill battle for it. From the Post-Millennial, Tulsi Gabbard endorses Kari Lake for Arizona governor. I still don't trust Tulsi Gabbard. I enjoy Tulsi Gabbard, but I don't trust her. No author given. Gabbard has just endorsed Kari Lake for governor of Arizona. Gabbard, who left the Democratic Party last week, said that Lake puts people first and is fighting for border security, energy independence, public safety, and other policies that actually make life better and more affordable for the American people. Lake, Gabbard said, isn't afraid to call out warmongering, elitist cabal of permanent Washington and military-industrial complex, and their propagandists in the mainstream media. Yeah, I don't know. I like Kari Lake. I think she's a little bit off her rocker, but she doesn't represent me either. Tulsi, I still take with a grain of salt. Because I don't necessarily trust what her ambitions are with this. But we'll see. I still think Tulsi is detrimental to the self-defense cause. But we'll watch. No substitute for experience. Pelosi downplays vulnerable. Democrats calling for leadership change. And I think this one will be the last one, and we'll head out of here for the day. From John Rigolizzo. Speaker Nancy Pelosi downplayed members of her own party calling for new leadership. In an interview with MSDNC's Andrea Mitchell reports Tuesday, Pelosi downplayed several calls made by House Democrats in a closely contested district, calling for new leadership in the House. The speaker said that she's not worried about their rhetoric, if that's what it takes for them to win their respective races, but Pelosi attempted to play both sides, saying that generational change is necessary, but experience is also important. I just say win, baby, just win. If that's what you have to say to win, then fine. We'll not in any way do anything, but totally support you. Mobilization-wise, message-wise, money-wise, for those people to win their races. Yes, we need generational change. Of course we do. But in some cases, there's no substitute for experience. No video of that. If they're after us, look, just win. That's all I'm saying to people. Just win your races, because nothing less is at stake than our democracy. Nothing less is at stake than our planet. Nothing less is at stake for our freedoms and a woman's right to choose. There's so many things at stake at this election. The speaker's comments came in response to Democrat Michigan Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin, who called for new leadership in an interview last week. I've been very vocal, including with my own leadership in the House, that we need a new generation and we need new blood, period, across the Democrat Party. In the House, the Senate, and the White House, Slotkin said, adding, I think the country's been saying that. Yeah, I think that's going to be highly contested when it comes back down to that. But I don't think it matters anyway, because looking at the congressional ballot, the generic congressional ballot, looking at the races, what's a toss-up, what's lean R versus what's guaranteed R, Republicans can go in to Election Day and not win a single toss-up and still take the House by 25 seats. I don't think Pelosi is going to be the speaker unless we see some honking in a way that we've never seen honking before. And that is where we finish out for the day. We're done. We'll grab some, I think a couple of these are going to be Thing I Like and Thing I Hate tomorrow too, because I know we've got the James Corden story. I put that on here. The teacher strike too. But we will come back to that. Maybe the day will be slow on news again tomorrow. But we always do finish out on Wednesday with something that I'm thankful for, something that restores my faith in humanity. And I am looking around right now, and I will admit I'm a little bit nervous about the situation that we're in. But you know, I look at the fact that a cart full of groceries is 3 digits now. I hate that. And the wages didn't match to rise to match with it. I can say that without a shadow of a doubt. But what I can look at, what I can see, is that there is the enduring, there's still the ability for people to move up and change their lives, as there is. Now, when the crash happened beforehand, there was no opportunity for that. You could go, and a lot of the places were hiring temp. because they were taking anybody that could get in the door and keeping the top 10%. There were a lot of temp jobs at the time. I've worked a temp job. It's always funny when you have to go work a temp job and you're a mechanic, because there's so much preparation to go in and work for 90 days. You go in, you find somebody because, you're at the point in your life where you don't have a truck like I do now. So you go haul your toolbox over to a place it's only going to sit there for 3 months. And then you go find a place to store it and haul it back out of there. And the professional commercial grade ones are heavy and big and bulky. It's not just like your little stand-up Craftsman one. You go back and you do these kinds of things over and over again. But right now, while we're in the midst of crashing, while the housing market is starting to... And this could change, by the way, at a moment's notice, as more people start to stagflate out of their jobs and they go back to try to find whatever they can get their hands on, whether it be that job that you just applied for, or whether it be the customer service job in the front of the Quick Trip. As of right now, there are still opportunities to go and improve your life. I don't know how long they're going to last. I know that I'm looking into a few of them right now myself, possibly getting out of the area that I live in right now, possibly going to some other places, but the opportunities are still there. And if you are stagnant in your life right now, if there's no real opportunity for advancement, or your wages didn't go with where you want to be, I know that there's something to be said about tenure, but it might not hurt to look right now. I'm not even saying change jobs, but at least go out and check the job boards and see what's out there right now, because from experience, I can tell you, once the bottom crashes out, you're going to want to be someplace where you know you're secure. Because looking for a new job every 90 days sucks balls. A lot. I know, I've done it. So, what I'm thankful for is that the opportunity is out there, and I'm also a little bit thankful for the fact, and I hate the fact that we're going through this again in my lifetime, because I didn't think that we would ever see something like 08 again, and now it's actually looking like it could get worse. But one of the things that I'm happy for, that I'm thankful for in this, is the fact that there is some recency bias going on, which means, and what I can say with that is that we remember what it was like in 08. That we know what happened then, and most of us can better prepare for it, because a lot of us who were trying to prepare for it the last time hadn't seen anything like that since the 70s. Well, I was born in 84. So I had never seen something like what we saw in 08 before in my life. My parents had. I hadn't. So I'm thankful for the fact that I think most people who are in the workforce now had the chance to see this, recognize this, and prepare for this. I'm happy for that. So we'll see what happens with this, where we go from that, and, well, hopefully nobody else has to suffer, but, I hope that I don't either. Even though I did say a prayer and say, hey, don't let any of my friends suffer, and don't let anybody that I care about suffer in this economic downturn. Let me be the one to do it, because I was the one who has practice with this. I know how to do it, and it sucks, but I know how to do it. My friends might not know how to do it. They might have been spared in the last downturn. So let me, who has practice, do it. But we'll see. Maybe tomorrow, the angel Gabriel will come down and endow the gift of economic perspective on Joe Biden, and this could all be fixed tomorrow. It's very unlikely, but it could be. Let's head out of here for the day. So, thanks everybody who came by and chatted and saw me go through my big rant on the degeneracy of the world. Hopefully we have some more news-related stuff to talk about tomorrow, and not just talking about failed Congress people's sexual proclivities, and the fact that they think that a woman should be forced to sleep with you, even if she doesn't like you. I can't believe that this woman still has her account up. I'll give her credit for courage, because a lot of lesser people would have locked their Twitter accounts or deleted them after the round panning that they got yesterday. And this woman is still going too, by the way. So thanks for coming in and enjoying the rant with me. We'll be back here tomorrow with Thing I Like and Thing That I Hate. More news, more headlines. We'll probably be talking about more Haiti. We'll probably be talking about more Ukraine. I'm a little surprised we didn't have anything on the stack for Ukraine today. And the economy, because it's the economy, stupid. I think that's going to be the driver for most of the polls. Anyway, come back and see me here again tomorrow for more news, more headlines, and more contemporary. We will see you then, and until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.